Hello and welcome to Lorindalandia. Today, I would like to talk about how healing is not about forgetting your difficult or traumatic experiences. It's about learning how to love them. But first, I would like to let you know that I'm offering healing sessions. So imagine that you are struggling with a situation right now, with an emotion, with a specific trauma or experience. I offer these healing sessions that give you personalized techniques that are easy to implement in your day to day and that they are low effort to help you overcome your current experience and to help you learning how to love yourself better. So if you are interested in that, they are my first link in description. I think a lot of times when we start this healing journey and we start this journey of learning how to love ourselves, learning how to support ourselves and how to be there for ourselves, I think we come at this point where we already at rock bottom, at some sort of rock bottom, right? Usually we start doing this effort to accept ourselves and heal ourselves when we have reached some sort of rock bottom. So we start at a really low point and with a lot of emotional pain, right? And I think when we start this, our intention is kind of to get a quick fix to our emotional pain. We have reached this rock bottom. We just want to change. We just want something better, right? So we start this healing journey with this intention of, I just want this moment to go away. I just want to feel better. And that's totally valid. However, that's not how the healing journey works. I think we start this healing journey coming from a very desperate place, in a rock bottom place, wanting for things to change, wanting for yourself to be different, wanting for yourself to not experiencing pain anymore, just to realize that this healing journey is not about completely erasing your past. It's not about forgetting your pain. It's not about completely changing as a person where you won't feel this pain anymore. It's about learning how to love yourself throughout it. The healing journey is not about forgetting your past, erasing what happened to you, living without that pain. Is about changing your reaction to that pain, to that experience, to that trauma. There is this quote that it says, "You are not your past," and I agree and disagree to a certain extent. I think you are your past in the sense that you cannot erase your experiences, and your experiences in life has shaped you to who you are. Again, this can negatively or positively shape you, or all at the same time. Your past, your life experience has ultimately made you who you are, and your choices that you made about it, right? This doesn't mean that you cannot change. You can change as a person. I think you're not your past in the sense that you don't need to repeat the same behavior. You can change your behavior and you can change as a person, but you cannot erase what happened to you, because ultimately that is you, and nothing of you should be erased and no part of you should be discarded, right? And really, the healing journey is really changing your reactions to your triggers. So imagine, before you start the healing journey, you have a big trigger. Let's say you experience something on your day to day that triggers this old wound within you, and that makes you have this strong emotional reaction where you might be crying, frustrated, scared, angry, wherever it is, right? Healing is not about erasing the trigger, because ultimately that's impossible, because that is who you are and it's super valid to have the trigger. You've probably been through a lot. You probably experienced a lot of trauma to have the trigger, right? It is valid to feel that way. And there is nothing to try to suppress or erase about that. It is super valid and super normal. The thing here is, instead of trying to reject your trigger, healing is learning how to accept and love your triggers. Because what makes your pain worse? Again, you already have that pain, right? We cannot avoid it. You had a difficult experience, you had a trauma, you already have pain around it. That's normal, that's valid, and we cannot avoid that. But what makes that pain worse is your rejection of it. Because basically, you are telling yourself that you're not worthy enough to feel it, you're not valuable enough to feel it, you're not loved enough to feel it, you're not safe enough to feel it. When we reject a big pain of ours, a big emotional pain, we are basically shaming ourselves and suppressing ourselves and telling that part of ourselves, hey, I don't like you. You're not good enough for me to feel you. Go away. Like you are shunning a part of yourself. And usually, the parts that we are shunning about ourselves, the parts that we are repressing, that we are pressing, are the parts that need the most love, are the parts that went through the most, are the parts that got hurt the most. So really are oppressing and repressing and shunning away parts that really need our love and the parts of us that need the most love. So this rejection that we do of these emotional triggers, this emotional pain, just reinforces more of that pain. Rejecting how we are feeling special when it comes with a big emotional reaction is just making it more intense. What we don't express, what we don't feel, what we don't give space to exist, it just becomes bigger. Nothing disappears, everything transforms. And when we reject the transformation, basically, when we reject our pain to be felt, when we reject our pain to be seen, when we reject ourselves in the things that we needed the most support on, right? Because ultimately that's it, like we are rejecting a part of ourselves that needed our most support, we are rejecting the part of ourselves that needed us to be there for ourselves, right? So when we reject that, not only are we putting us down in our downest self, it's like if we see it on the outside, it's like putting someone down that is already down. That's kind of what we are doing to ourselves. It's putting us down in something that we are already down, but it's also not allowing the emotions to flow, not allowing the process of healing, not allowing the process of transformation, because healing is very natural to us. That's what our body does, right? If we translate this as physical pain, imagine that we have an open wound in our body, right? Our body heals it naturally, especially when we let it heal it. If we're always trying to stop the process of healing it, that's when it takes a longer time. However, our body naturally heals itself. That's what it does best, actually, is to heal, is to overcome, is to adapt, is to regenerate. So really, this healing process is very natural within us, and our body knows what it's doing, but it's our rejection of this emotional pain that does not allow us to heal, that does not allow us to transform, that does not allow us to change as a person, right? And the thing here is that for you to accept an emotional wound is you loving yourself. So imagine you have a trigger, right? You go about your day, you have a trigger, something really brings you a lot of intense emotions, sadness, frustration, anger, whatever it is, you are going through it, right? Healing is, instead of you trying to reject that emotion, maybe by distracting yourself, maybe by being grateful, maybe by going for a run or whatever it is, healing is about you giving space to feel. So basically, healing is about you crying. Healing is about you expressing your anger. Of course, not expressing your anger to someone, right? Maybe like if a punches to a pillow, like something that is not destructive for the environment around you, but expressing that emotion in a healthy way, in a way that is not destructive for the environment around you or for yourself. Healing is about taking this emotional trigger and saying, hey, I see you and I accept you. I'm there for you while you are crying. I'm there for you while you are feeling this pain. I'm there for you to support you while you are going through these hard times. Healing is about changing the reaction from rejection to acceptance. It's changing your reaction to when you have a trigger, instead of reject, 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 distract, 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 by many methods, being grateful or going on and on. And these are actually healthy methods, because there are a lot of unhealthy methods to do this. For example, drinking when you are angry or sad, or escaping that way. Again, like, there are healthy and unhealthy ways to deal with emotion, right? And the healthy ways are basically the non-destructive ways. But healing is, instead of when you get that trigger, you try to reject it and not feel it. Basically, healing is about having that trigger and accepting that trigger, giving it space to flow, giving it space to feel. And while you are feeling it, while you are feeling the sadness, while you are feeling these intense emotions, is about loving yourself and being there for yourself. This is something that I teach in my healing sessions. I give a lot of techniques, and this is one of the techniques that you can learn through my healing sessions. That is a two-person dynamic within you. What do I mean by this? Is when you are having the trigger, you basically have this two-person dynamic within you. That is the person that is suffering and the person that is giving the love. So basically, a part of you feels your emotions, a part of you expresses those emotions, a part of you accepts and just let the emotions flow and express it some way, somehow, by speaking, writing, being creative, wherever it is, right? And another part of you says to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. I accept you and I love you for exactly how you feel. I'm here to support you during this time. And also asking yourself, when you are in this two-person dynamic, the person that is suffering and the person that is giving love, is basically asking the person that is giving love, it's asking the person that is suffering, hey, what do you need from me? How can I support you during this? This can be your just listening to yourself, basically you expressing your emotions and say exactly how you feel, and just basically listening to yourself and saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, I'm sorry for what you are going through, I'm sorry for the pain that you are experiencing, you didn't deserve it. Also validating yourself, expressing your emotions, like, I'm sad about this, it's so frustrating, I'm so triggered, like expressing all that you feel and saying to yourself, it's normal that you feel that way. It was hard to go through that. That was unfair to you. That was unjust. Kind of validating yourself, right? And having that two-person dynamic that suffers and that other person that gives love. I usually call this inner child parent dynamic within you. Is kind of having your inner child and your parents within you. So your inner child is usually the person that is suffering, and your parent is the person that is giving you love. And this a dynamic that you create within yourself. And it's basically every time that you have a trigger, instead of your response being rejection, oppression, and shunning away yourself, instead of being that response of not feeling, is a response of feeling and loving. And what happens here is that, again, our body heals itself. The natural process of our body is healing. So what happens here is that acceptance of your pain, actually like feeling the pain, crying, feeling however you want to feel, that will change your emotional reaction. So across time, when you have this trigger, and again, instead of rejecting, you giving love, across time, after a lot of times doing this, right, what happens here is that you reach a point that you experience the same trigger, but your reaction becomes love, because you have done that for yourself across a long period of time. You gave yourself acceptance, you gave yourself love and support. So it reaches a point that you still have the trigger, things still trigger you, but your reaction will be love. instead of feeling that strong emotional pain, you'll feel a strong emotion of love for yourself because you almost trained your brain for that to be the reaction. It's also a form, I think, of conditioning yourself in the best way possible. Right, that what happens here is that after a long time of giving space for your emotions to flow, giving space for you to accept yourself, giving space for you to love yourself, the same trigger that before will cause you like so much pain, you'll cry about it so much, and that's normal, that's valid, right? And you need to go through that process. That process is very important. And that trigger that will cause you so much of this pain will become a trigger of love. So moving forward, you will still experience that trigger, and your reaction will be love. And at some point, like it almost feels like you don't have that trigger, but you do. If you really think about it, that trigger will always live within you. That's why healing is not erasing and forgetting the past. At some point, it kind of looks like it because we are not paying attention to the trigger because this trigger is bringing us love now and not pain, right? So we kind of don't pay attention to it anymore and we don't realize that it's happening, right? But it's still there. It is always going to be there. Your experiences don't change, your reaction to them do. I teach all of these techniques, and these are techniques that are really easy to implement, and they are designed to implement your day to day with low effort because, again, like sometimes life is overwhelming, especially when you are going through it. We got jobs, we got things to do, and on top of that, we are going through pain, right? Implementing these mental health techniques and being there for ourselves can be quite demanding and can be quite take a lot of energy out of us. So I designed techniques that are simple, easy to implement, low effort, quick, and you can get them at my healing session link down below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you like this content, subscribe and let me know down in the comments how this resonated with you. Bye.